This is John Cola with GrowingYourGreens.com. Today I have another exciting episode for you. I'm yet on another field trip here in Houston, Texas. I'm on my vacation, but when I'm on vacation, I'm always researching new and exciting places to grow or that you can grow at, depending on where you live. So today we're at RCW Nursery, and their website is rcwnurseries.com. They've been here for over 30 years serving Houston and the area. While they do have a standard nursery with a lot of ornamentals, they do have a good section of some fruit trees and some vegetables and herbs that I'm going to be going over today. So the one main reason why I'm here today is because I found out about the RCW Nurseries online because they carry a wide variety of hardy avocado trees. So some of the avocado trees they sell are hardy down to the teens. So 17 degrees. I mean, the avocado tree I have is maybe hardy down to like the upper 20s or mid 20s, but these are hardy even 10 degrees more. Now you may be able to grow avocados no matter where you live, but unfortunately, the RCW Nurseries does not ship. So you gotta come here to buy them or find another place to buy some of these rare varieties of avocados that I'll be showing you guys in a minute. Now we're inside the nursery, and besides all the ornamentals that I'm not gonna talk about, I'm gonna talk about some of my favorite edibles that they're offering here for you guys in the Houston area. So once again, this place does not ship. You could come here to buy them, or you could try to find these online, get the seeds for some of these varieties. So what we're gonna talk about first are the vegetables. So my channel is called Growing Your Greens, and it's called Growing Your Greens for a reason, because I believe greens are one of the most important foods you can put into your body, and most people just frankly do not eat enough greens. My goal is to eat 2 pounds of leafy greens each and every day. So one of the reasons why that may happen, that people don't eat enough, especially if they're growing a garden, is because in the summertime it can be challenging to grow some of the greens. Things like lettuce, which they have over there, and maybe even these guys here, some cabbage or some collard greens, you know, they may get bug damage. I mean, as you can see, these guys are getting eaten up by bugs. In addition, the heat of the summer may cause these guys to bolt early. That's because in general the cole crops, they're called cole crops. That's K-O-L-E-R. I mean C-O-L-E, cole crops. Is that because they like the cold? Well, you know, we need some hot crops, some hot vegetables for the summer. And that's what they're selling here in Houston. This is the perfect vegetable to be growing. And actually it is very challenging to find. I actually sold the seeds to many of you guys out there that bought some of my seeds, the red Malabar spinach seeds. And that's what we're looking at here. This is the red Malabar spinach. They actually call it rhubarb spinach. And that's what this is right here. This is actually a vining spinach, not related to the standard spinach that's in the goosefoot family, but this is a whole different kind of spinach that's, you know, grown in the tropics. So this guy loves the heat. If you live in South Florida, you could grow this as a perennial. If it doesn't get too cold, this will stay alive as a perennial. And you just basically pick off these leaves and eat them. They have a nice, they're kind of succulent, actually have a really mild flavor. And actually you could even eat it's going to produce the flowers here. You could eat the flowers, like the flowers, and then spit the seeds out and save those to grow for next year. And besides the purple variety they also got the green variety, and they only have 2 of the green varieties left. So you guys better get down here quick to buy these. And let's see, I've noticed that the purple variety in general tends to grow faster than the green variety, and both these varieties, you need to plant them, and they might grow like a millimeter a day for like a long time, but once they get established, then they'll start really growing much faster, and they do like the heat, and they like to stay, you know, well watered, not overwatered and not underwatered, and man, these guys are delicious. Next, let's move into some more common vegetables that they're selling here for the summertime. Another uncommon vegetable that many of you guys may not be familiar with is right here. This is actually called the prickly pear cactus, and on some prickly pear cactuses, the prickles have been bred out of them, so they're non-prickly pear cactuses. But not only can you eat the cactus pads, you know, if you go into most Mexican markets, you can find de-prickled cactus pads for sale, sometimes cut up in little bags, but you could also eat its fruit. And this is not fruiting right now, but the cactus pear fruit is one of my favorite fruits by far. They just tend to get a little bit seedy, so that's why I like to juice them, which easier to remove the seeds, which makes the dark pigments and the nutrients in there available for me to drink and consume. And I've actually videos on YouTube showing me juicing the prickly pear cactus, one of my favorite. So grow your own and have your own cactus pears and cactus pads to eat. Now we're going to talk about more standard vegetables that you guys might be growing, and actually the most popular we'll be talking about next. But the first one we're going to talk about are these guys, and these are peppers. So whether you grow hot or sweet peppers, I always like to grow the small variety peppers. I find that they produce more over a longer period of time, plus they ripen up more regularly. Say if I grew like a standard bell pepper plant, I might get 2-3 peppers off a plant, depending on, you know, how well it's cared for, maybe more. But on one of these guys, actually this guy has been really prolific in my garden. It's a hot red cherry, or the cherry bomb peppers. And here's a little pepper on here. I mean, this guy's almost getting ready to eat once it turns red. But these guys produce a lot of peppers over the whole entire season until it frosts, instead of just a few peppers. So that's why I like to grow these. In addition, here at RCW Nursery, they got really good prices. These 4-inch pepper plants are only $1.49. So I mean, even the big box stores on sale is $2. When the peppers are not on sale at the big box store, they're $2.98. So this is literally half price. Now, not only for the price do I recommend you guys shop your local nurseries like the RCW Nurseries here in Houston, but I also encourage you guys to support small businesses and local businesses instead of large giant corporations. Although, you know, you guys know that I feature large corporations in my videos sometimes, because over all else, I want you guys to grow. And if that means you gotta buy some stuff from a big box corporation and you'll be able to grow your food, I think that's good. But I think it's even better if you could support a small local nursery instead, like the RCW here. And they got some fabulous looking peppers. Next, we're gonna talk about the #1 grown vegetable in the summertime by home gardeners. You know, you might not know somebody that grows red Malabar spinach, but most people, if they're growing food at home, they're growing tomatoes, because everybody loves tomatoes. Now, here at RCW Nurseries, I like that they have over 24 varieties of different tomatoes, and that was just a quick count. I'm sure they have even more, probably like closer to 30, maybe even more varieties than that of tomatoes. And that's one of the things you'll get by coming to a locally owned nursery. Some of the big box stores might have, you know, up to a dozen different kinds, if even that. And you know, they're gonna be much more limited in scope. And I want you guys to be able to try and grow all the different varieties, because you will find that some varieties may grow better than others. Some will yield better than others. And more importantly, some will taste better than others to you. Like, I personally like these ones called I think they're called the Coyote Cherry tomatoes. Like, they're very low acid. They're almost like yellow, almost translucent. And when they're ripe, they're just, oh, so delicious. Like, they don't even taste like a tomato to me, because they're just, they're so good. But anyways, coming to a locally owned nursery, you could find so many more varieties than you can at a big box store. In addition, one of the things I like is that their plants here, for a 4-inch tomato, $1.49. That's their everyday low price. I mean, at some big box stores, not on sale tomatoes are like $3.48, $3.50. So this is literally half the price. So that's a good buy in itself. Finally, I want to talk about when selecting tomatoes to purchase. You know, you want to pay attention to how many days it takes to, you know, go to full maturity. So right here we have the Quick Pick, a trouble-free tomato with heavy yields. The 48-ounce fruit are round and smooth, prone to sun scald. This is a great choice for your fall and early spring garden. So that's telling you not to grow it in the middle of summer when it gets really hot. Now, the sun scald it happens when the sun hits the tomato. It's like you get sunburnt, you know, on your skin if you get too much sun. Well, the tomatoes will get sunburned, and the leaves actually absorb the sun to create the photosynthesis, to create the energy to make the tomatoes. But the tomatoes don't like the sun, so hopefully you'll have enough foliage or enough leaves on your tomato plant to cover up the tomatoes that are hiding and ripening down below. If not, don't worry, just get some standard shade cloth and like fold it over like 4 times, and then put that on top of your tomatoes. Just like clip it so that it covers your tomato but not the leaves of the plant. This will prevent the sun scald. Aside from that, this is a 60-day tomato, so that means it's going to be ready in 60 days. For example, the one next here called the Golden Jubilee is an 80-day tomato. So it takes over an extra half a month before you have tomatoes. So that's why I encourage you guys to pick some early tomatoes and also some ones that will produce late for you, so you'll be covered all season long. One of my favorite early tomatoes is called the Early Girl. Now we're going to talk about more tomatoes. John, I need more tomatoes. Well, each tomato plant can put out poundage of fruit, so you may not want to plant too many unless you're prepared to eat them all, or at least like what I do with my extras is sun dry them or dehydrate them all and save them for the winter time. So what we're going to talk about next are some of the tomatoes I have here at the RCW nursery that are the 1 gallon size. So I always encourage you guys to buy the largest size container with the largest size plants that you can afford. So if you're a rich guy, man, you got money, buy the bigger plants now, because guess what? That means you'll be eating off your plants sooner rather than later. In general, the plants in the larger pots are actually older, more mature plants than the ones in the smaller pots. But you need to pay attention, because that's not always the case. In any case, what we're going to do is talk about some of these guys right here, right now. And the reason why I decided to talk about these guys are because these are the special varieties you need to grow if you want to have a patio container garden. So, if you have limited amount of space, or if you're growing in a container on your patio, on a balcony in the middle of New York City, these are the very varieties you want to grow. So this one right here is actually called Sweet and Neat. So I grew the Sweet and Neat red tomato last year. This happens to be a Sweet and Neat yellow tomato, so I didn't know they actually had the Sweet and Neat in a yellow. These were very flavorful tomatoes, and they did quite well, and the plant stayed amazingly compact. It actually didn't get too much bigger than this right here. So this is perfect for a small space, if you don't want to have tomato vines trailing for 12 feet. This will stay nice and compact. And look at all the flowers. Each one of these flowers is going to turn into a delicious cherry tomato for you to eat. Now, besides the Sweet and Neat, they have another excellent tomato for growing in containers that I actually haven't seen before. This is actually called the Tumbling Tiger. And this says sweet, delicious, small fruit, great in salads or for eating fresh, determinate. So let's go ahead now and talk about determinates and indeterminates. So the determinate tomatoes live for a specific period of time. Say you had some horrible disease and they only said you're going to live to 18 and then you're gone, right? That's how the determinates are. The determinates are going to live for a specific period of time and yield all the crop at once, and then pretty much they're done. They've had it. They've put out their yield and they're moving on. Whereas the indeterminate plants have no specific determined lifespan. So, provided it doesn't freeze, get too cold, those plants can continue to grow and grow and grow and grow and continue to put out fruit for you the whole season long. So the Tumbling Tiger is determinate, just like the one before it, and you can kind of tell at how it's growing, it will not be that big. I mean, the Sweet and Neat, what happens on some of these tomatoes, if they're not going to get too big, the main trunk, or what you would call the trunk, gets really nice and thick and stocky. It doesn't get long and spindly, and it just doesn't get that tall. So this guy is probably going to be a little bit larger than the Sweet and Neat. The next one, which is also known as a container tomato, is called the patio tomato, but this guy is going to get a fair bit bigger. I don't know if I guess in a large container you'd grow the patio tomato. I mean, I grew the patio using mycorrhiza and rock dust one year, and man, this thing grew probably to 6 feet by the time if I stretched it all out, because I didn't actually trellis it up. I didn't think it was going to get that big. It grew out to 6 feet, so that can get actually kind of big, but it produced really well. And unfortunately to me, the tomatoes, the patio tomatoes, didn't taste all that great. I'd rather grow some other heirloom variety. But nonetheless, it's great for a larger size container. The other two that I mentioned, probably better for a smaller container. Now, for these container tomatoes, I would recommend a minimum of 5 gallon pot, larger if you could get away with it. Next, we're going to talk about herbs, medicinal herbs. Actually, just kidding. Well, actually, there's some medicinals we might talk about. But we're just going to talk about herbs. Now, the reason why I like the herbs is because they are one of the easiest things to grow, especially if you're new into gardening, never gardened before. grow the herbs, you know, grow some rosemary. That's very hard to get rid of, actually. You really got to use it. Or, you know, even some mint. Wow, this stuff smells amazing. This is actually the Kentucky Colonel Mint. Man, smells so good. Brings me back to my childhood. My grandma used to have like a field, or I don't know about a field, or a patch of mint that just grew wild at her place there. And as kids, I just literally go play and pick and eat the mint. Anyways, brings back some fond memories of my childhood, playing with my brother at my grandma's farm. But in any case, here at RCW, they have over a half dozen varieties of different kinds of mint. So have you ever tasted Kentucky Colonel Mint, Mojito Mint? Yes, that's the same Mojito Mint you could make that alcoholic beverage with. Chocolate mint, lemon mint, grapefruit mint. I mean, so many different kinds of mint, and each has a unique different flavor. And let me tell you, mints are one of the easiest things to grow, and if you're not careful, it'll actually take over your garden. So for that reason, I recommend you guys plant it in containers, or if you want to plant it in your raised bed, at least plant it in a container inside your raised bed. Check my past videos for when I actually did that in my own garden. Next, I want to cover a few more herbs they're offering here, a few that are rare and a few that I just like a lot. It's always a treat for me to come to a new nursery because, you know, I'll always see at least one new plant that I was not aware of, and this is one of the ones I found today, actually. It's actually called Jim Best Oregano, so check it out. This is actually a variegated variety of oregano that's completely edible. So, you know, no longer do you have to have straight green leaves of oregano. It can be now variegated, look pretty, and also taste delicious. Let me go ahead and try to taste a little leaf here. Has that nice oregano flavor that you've been looking for. I always encourage you guys, once again, to grow different varieties of stuff. Grow variegated oregano next to the regular oregano for some cool color displays, you know, or different colors in your garden. So I like that they have this available, and it's actually, you know, I haven't seen it before. In addition, something I have seen before is right next door. This is actually called the Mexican Marigold Mint. And technically this is actually not a mint, it's more related to the marigolds. And this, you could use the leaves. They use the leaves as a flavoring. I like to just eat the leaves, it has a nice flavor. In addition, you can also eat the flowers of this guy. One of the things I like about this plant is that it is a perennial, or should be a perennial, with the weather here. Next, let's take a look at another perennial from Mexico. Now we're gonna talk about two more herbs. At least one of them is my favorite. One of them I also am quite fond of, actually. The first one's this one right here. They just call it a sweet herb. So I love you, sweet leaf. So anyways, yeah, this is also known as sweet leaf, but it's not that sweet leaf you're thinking of. But this is actually called the stevia plant. So I love the stevia plant. They're making actually a non-sugar sweetener substitute with the stevia plant that's now being sold near you in those little packets to put in your, you know, your coffee. Originally, they actually put the stevia leaves in tea to make it sweet. Actually, you could brew your own tea out of stevia leaves and it'll be sweet on its own. So like I like to add these to juices and add these to smoothies, and sometimes just eat them straight for a nice rich of a sweetness without the sugar, so it's not gonna affect your blood sugar. The one next door to it right here is another one of my favorites. It's called the epazote plant. And epazote is a pot herb in Mexico that's known to actually take away the flatulence from beans. You know, some of my friends that I've tasted it, they said it tastes like gasoline, but I think it's a nice, unique flavor, and each one of these herbs have different flavonoids and the flavor components that are actually really beneficial for us. I've never actually tasted the epazote and a stevia leaf together, so it should definitely be really fun. So let's see what it tastes like. Wow, it's a combination I can live with. Kind of tastes like sweet gasoline. No, actually, it's quite good. I do like it. It's unique because the stevia is so sweet, and the epazote, you just get that nice pungent flavor. Let me tell you, I love all herbs. Another perennial they have here from Mexico is this guy right here. This is actually a Mexican oregano, but this is not related to the standard oregano. I like this stuff because it actually has a nice hot and peppery flavor to me, although it also has a reminiscence of the oregano as well. And once again, this should be another perennial in your climate. So, you know, I like the plants that you could literally just plant once and come out your door 365 days a year and pick some. Now, you're not gonna be making salads out of this stuff, but adding a few leaves to a salad or a juice, or to a soup, can definitely spice up your life with some herb. The next thing we're going to look at is the aerated compost teas that they're selling here. You can learn more about them at the wormaholics.com. Not only do they sell one aerated compost tea, but they sell 3 different kinds. One based on the worm castings, one based on compost, and one even based on alfalfa meal that I've never seen before. So let's go over to them and talk more about their aerated compost teas. Before we get into the grand finale of the avocados, which is why I came here, I wanted to share this with you guys. I mean, this is really cool. I've never seen a nursery, a tree nursery, a plant nursery that also sells not only one kind, but 3 different kinds of aerated compost tea. So that's something to think about. This is something you might want to do if you live in the Houston area. You want to come out here and get some of these compost aerated teas. Number 1, they got the aerated alfalfa tea. So they say aerating the alfalfa meal should produce some growth stimulants to make your plants grow better. Next here, they got the Count Earl Grey's compost tea, and this is your standard compost tea. In addition, they have the Count Earl Grey's worm tea made with the worm castings. So, they're selling the compost tea here for $5 a gallon. And it looks like to me they make it in a standard IBC tote that they aerate. And I mean, that's as simple as that. So you guys could easily make this at home. Now, one of the things I do want to say is that they're using well water that's not chlorinated here. And they recommend when you put this on your plants, right? Because the main benefit of the aerated compost teas is not the nutrients in there. It's the microbes, silly. It's the beneficial microbes and bacteria in the compost tea that will then go in your soil and start breaking down the nutrients and make them bioavailable for the plants. And this is called the food soil web, and this is how nature works. So they do not use chlorinated water. They don't use residential water. They use well water here. And they recommend once you put the compost tea on your plants, don't even water it for 2 days with your standard city water, because you'll negate the benefits of the microbes, because watering with chlorinated water is going to kill the microbes, man. So that's why if you do it, I recommend you guys get a Boogie Blue filter to filter out your water to remove the chlorine, so that your microbes in your soil, whether you're making the compost tea or whether you're buying it here, the microbes can flourish. So I think it's great that they have not only 1, but 3 different kinds of aerated compost teas available. So next, let's check out those cold hardy avocado trees that I came here for. Now we're gonna talk about what I came here for, and probably what you guys may be watching this video for is the avocados or amabajamos, or we're gonna have an avalanche. No, avalanche. An avalanche is when you're at the store and there's a bunch of avocados piled up and they start falling. It's an avalanche, get it? All right. Anyways, now we're gonna talk about avocados. Now, I'm the proud owner of one Mexicola avocado tree, and despite the weather getting down into the 20s, high 20s, upper 20s at some points, my avocado tree has survived. So this year, it's actually flowering, and then it actually frosted, and then it lost all the flowers, and then it actually started reflowering. So maybe this year I'll get avocados for the first time. I've probably had it for, man, I don't even know, 5-6 years now. It hasn't yet fruited yet. But that's the fun of gardening. You never know what you're gonna get. Now, what I'm gonna say in this next clip about some of these varieties of avocados is information is purported. That means that's what it's been said. Now, is this true? I don't know, but it sounds realistic. So for example, the Mexicola avocado, it grows up to 18 feet, black skin, rich, buttery flavored. And let's talk about avocados for a second. So there are 3 distinct kinds of avocados that come from different parents. So the parents could be from Mexico, and the Mexican avocados generally are the smooth skin with high oil content. So up to like 30% oil. That's the rich, buttery flavor that we're all after. Next is the West Indian avocados, which is lower in oil, and those are also really good. Next, we have the ones from Guatemala, which is the lower oil content. So the ones that are the hardiest avocados of those 3 kinds are the Mexican avocados. After all, we are here in Texas, and some of these avocados may have originated, the wild versions not too far from here in Mexico, because we're actually not too far from Mexico here. So that's why some of these guys may be hardier than others. So the Mexicola is said to be hardy down to like in the 20s. So this one right here, this guy, the avocado Lila, maybe it's actually a girl. So this girl avocado, the Lila avocado, grows up to 18 feet, green skin, rich flavored, and is hardy down to the mid to low teens. So yeah, maybe like 15 degrees, you can now grow an avocado that's hardy down to 15 degrees. That's totally amazing. Now, I do want to remind you guys, this place does not ship avocado trees. So if you want to get one of these guys, do a search for avocado Lila and find a place that ships, and hey, post it down the video below for me and for other people to know as well. Now, unfortunately, if you live in California, you might be out of luck because there is a thriving avocado industry. They may not allow you to import avocado trees from other places. Next, let's talk about a few more avocado trees they are offering here. Now we're gonna talk about 2 more avocado plants and give you some additional avocado information. So right here we got the Pancho variety. It's a green skin, rich buttery flavored, probably hardy down to the mid-teens. This one right next door is called the Opal avocado. The Opal avocado is found originally from Uvalde, Texas, which is probably down south, and also hardy down to the mid-teens as well. So I mean, that's totally amazing that these avocados can survive the mid-teens. Now, does that mean when it's a young baby like this small, you could put it out before the mid-teens and it's gonna survive? Probably not. That's a full developed tree when they're, large, and of course you're gonna want to plant these in a proper orientation. You wanna put them in a nice south facing area so it's gonna stay warm in the wintertime when it's needed. Plus, the first couple years you may need to surround it with a little greenhouse, put some lights on it to keep it warm until it becomes more, mature and established. Then it gets more cold tolerant. Like for my avocado, I protect it the first couple years, and then right now I'm just like leaving it to be, do whatever it's gonna do. If it's not gonna make it because it's too cold, then I'm gonna lose it, because I just don't like babying my plants. I have far too many things to do in life than to baby one plant just so I can eat avocados off my plant. I mean, unfortunately, avocados are fairly inexpensive to buy, but one of my favorites that we talked about earlier, the Mexicola, that has a black skin, and it's an edible avocado skin. It's so thin and black, you can eat it, and it's actually quite delicious. I love eating the skin with the Mexicola flesh that's nice and high oil content. Man, it is so delicious. Another thing I want to talk about avocados is, besides the temperature, that they could tolerate, whether it's the mid-teens, upper 20s or whatnot, it's also the amount of water in the roots. The avocados are particularly susceptible to root rot. They don't like getting too much water. They will rot easily. So this is especially important if you're in clay soil. You want to dig like not only a big hole, but a nice, mound to plant it in. Nice tall mound. You want to plant it up in the top of the mound so it has really good drainage, so the roots will not be sitting in water, because they do not do well in standing water. In addition, it's recommended that you actually plant above the graft. All the trees here, all the avocados are actually grafted, and you can see they're grafted right here. And when you plant them, they recommend you actually plant them above the graft. So for some reason, the top half of the tree doesn't make it, the part below the soil that was insulated will make it, and it'll regrow from above the graft, not below it, because below the graft is a different variety tree altogether. We were just talking about grafted avocados and where to plant the graft underneath the ground. Now, you do not want to use like a potting mix, because that's going to retain too much moisture for the avocado. You want a good draining mixture of soil that you plant the avocados in. Plus, don't forget the rock dust. That'll really help the avocado out. Now, the last 2 varieties that we're going to talk about today are the Joey variety. Now, the Joey produces a medium-sized, black-skinned, Mexican-style avocado that's hardy to the upper 20s. And then finally, we got the Fantastic. Now, the Fantastic avocado is the most cold hardy Mexican avocado, which is what they're saying here. Now, is that true? I don't know. Do they want to sell more avocado trees because of this kind? Because it's the most cold hardy and that's what you need if you're in weather that's maybe not totally conducive to an avocado. You know, that may be true as well. I have no idea. But this one has a thin green skin that is edible, skin and all. So I really like this. Hopefully one of these days I'm gonna get to grow one of these guys. But the next thing I want to talk about is, you know, that science project you guys might have had as a kid, and you guys still might do. You'll take that avocado pit out of your avocado, and if you're not blending it up in your Vitamix and drinking it, because you could do that in the Vitamix, it's so powerful, it'll fractionate the avocado pit and you could drink it for the nutrition in there. If you're starting the seed to grow it into a new tree, be forewarned that it may take 6, 8 plus years for it to grow and then may or may not produce fruit for you. That's why I encourage you guys to just spend a little bit of money, get a tree that you know within 2 to 4 years, these grafted trees will produce fruit and produce a good fruit with the characteristics you want, especially if you live in a place that's not totally conducive to growing an avocado. Get the most cold hardy variety and try it and see what happens. The worst that's gonna happen is you're gonna lose 30 bucks on this tree and it's not gonna make it. The best that's gonna happen is you'll be eating Mexican avocados that you can eat the skin on out of your garden one of these days. I look forward to the day that I pick my own avocados off my tree because some people said it couldn't be done, and I always like to push the envelope. In any case, I've had a really fun time here at the nursery. They're closed up. I gotta get going here. Hopefully you did too and learned a few things about some cold tolerant avocados. Oh, the last tip I want to give you before I go to get a lead, because once again, this place does not ship. Don't call them and say, will you ship? They will not ship to you. But you can call the nursery that may have grown these avocados. It's actually the Brazo Citrus Nursery here in Texas, and they may ship, or they may have a distributor they sell to that will ship to you. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, learning more about this particular nursery here in Houston. If you do come here, stop by and said, John Kohler sent me, they'd get a kick out of that. But in any case, I've had a great time here. I gotta run, it's getting late, gotta eat dinner. And I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, learning more about the cold tolerant varieties of avocados. Now you can grow some avocados even if you don't live in California. Once again, my name is John Kohler with growingyourgreens.com. We'll see you next time, and remember, keep on growing.